Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to another live event by Exclusible. My name is Zach Darris, the head of business development, and I'll be your host today. And I'm joined by the incredible Olivia Monjon, the co-founder of Exclusible, and our wonderful head of product and partnership, Nick Kovacic. Today is a very important, interesting live event that we have planned to discuss the most important strategies when it comes to Roblox. But before we get started, there's a massive favor I need from you, incredible audience members. Say hello in the general chat so we know where you're from. Just write a good morning, hello, good evening, write where you're tuning in from. And if you want to support, spread this event to more people, feel free to hit that share button. So, to get started in today's live event, we're going to be discussing the best practices for brands to explore insights on creating and managing communities within Roblox. But a lot of you may be new to Roblox, especially the marketing managers they've heard that their competitors are getting involved in this space, but they don't really fully understand. So I'll give you a really brief breakdown. Gaming platforms in the metaverse have become an essential part of younger generations' daily digital lives as they offer a highly interactive way to connect and socialize virtually with a heightened focus on personalization. Roblox is one of the largest metaverse platforms at over 70 million active daily users, spending an average of 2.6 hours on the platform, with half the Roblox community in Gen Alpha, which is younger than age 13. The online gaming and open game creation system allows anyone to create and play games. Users of the platforms represent themselves as one of two types of avatar styles that Roblox supports. The accessories that Roblox avatars can wear are highly customizable, with an entire Roblox marketplace where people can buy and sell virtual avatar goods with an in-game currency called Robux. And 1 in 5 Roblox users update their avatars every single day. Now, any good marketer understands that if you want to future-proof your brand, you need to be considering how to tap into the next generation of your customer base. Roblox is the perfect opportunity for this. But how do you get involved? That's what we're going to be discussing today. Brands can optimize their Roblox experience by building them with Exclusible. While you're having a listen to this live event, feel free to focus on all the demonstrations we're going to be giving, but you can also go to www.exclusible.com and check out all of our work that we do. Creating a virtual experience that is accessible across platforms extends the reach of a single activation and speaks to a different audience group wherever they may be. While Roblox has built-in reach amongst the youngest generation, Exclusible enables brands to speak to a broader audience of shoppers in a highly branded, elevated format. The number of brands and retailers creating experiences and that are selling virtual goods on Roblox is growing incredibly fast, gaining the attention from high-profile multinational brands that are searching for its reach to highly engaged and youthful audience members. In just Q2 of 2023, users spent an average of $11.92 per day on the platform. Keep in mind, there's over 70 million daily active users. The gaming platform reported 2.2 billion annual revenue in 2022, which is up 16% from 2021. And Roblox monetizes experiences by allowing brands and creators to sell their digital items in their in-game stores or on its avatar marketplace in return for its virtual currency Robux, which users can purchase using real-world money. Now that you've understood, the format of the session today is our incredible guests, Olivia and Nick, are going to be going through a series of questions with me. We're going to be doing this for about 25 minutes to half an hour. And then just like the last live event, the most engaging part of the session was when you wonderful audience members were jumping in the chat and asking us questions. So let's keep this highly interactive. Feel free to start the questions coming as soon as you want, put them in the chat, and we're going to be pinning them to the screen in about 25, 30 minutes, and I'll be keeping an eye of what's going on. Before we do kick off, Olivia, is there anything you want to say before we dive into the questions?
No, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Zach, for moderating and being the host as usual. And as you said, we welcome all questions. And I think it was the most interesting part of our last live event. And stay tuned because we like to make things very visual. So we're going to go inside Roblox and show you a lot of things on the platform itself.
Wonderful. So first question I want to focus on, what are the key elements when it comes to building a successful community strategy for a brand on Roblox?
Sure. So before we can speak about community, I think it's very important for the audience to understand why there is even the concept of community on Roblox. Roblox, as you said very, very nicely, it's a UGC platform. Anyone can go there and build their own game. You can be a user, you can be a creator. You have millions of users, millions of creators, millions of games on the platform. Think about it like YouTube, okay? But we never really approach YouTube from a community building point of view. It's more about consuming content and discovering content. Whereas Roblox, by nature, the platform is built around the sense of community and users who are absolutely passionate, recurring, and they fall in love with games, and they fall in love with certain creators. They fall in love with their avatar and their UGCs. And then they have friends, they can interact. So you basically have kind of like the core components of any social media. That's why for us, Roblox is the social media. And this is the absolute reason why it should be on every marketer's radar. People go there to get entertained so they can play around. People can shop. So they spend, as you said, they spend their Robux to, get game passes, dress their avatar, buy accessories, and they socialize. And the best way to show you is actually to go into Roblox right now. I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
Great. So I logged in with the account of my daughter. She's 8 years old, and you can see that she's flagged as a below 13. This is here, if you on the top right. It's very important because it means that there's a lot of content that she cannot access. The platform acts as a gatekeeper, and it's very reassuring for brands that have to be compliant to certain GDPR or COPPA compliances. And so the platform does it by nature. Why is it a social media? Because you can see that, first of all, the first tab, Discover, it's where you discover those millions of games, and you have the algorithm is pushing different ones. You have the search bar, you can search keywords, etc. There's a marketplace. So here, users can get digital items for free, or they can purchase them, by spending Robux. And you can see that there is a vast variety of items, from hair care. Hair care and makeup are extremely popular. That's why Roblox it's a very appropriate platform for beauty brands. Then we have all sorts of, it's a fun experience, actually. You can go on all the different filters. You can buy animations, you can buy pets, you can buy different type of avatars, different body types, different vehicles. Animals are very big on the platform. So here you have literally like a shopping engine that's, again, UGC, it's created by the users. So it's unlimited. There's new content every single day. You can also create. So it's a two-way platform where anyone is encouraged to start creating worlds and experiences on the platform, which is really good for the development and going into coding and all these things. Then you have Robux, so how you can buy the internal currency of the platform. But then if we go into the more social aspects, you can see here on the left menu, you have messages, friends, and groups. So every user can have up to 200 friends. You cannot have more than that. Okay. So usually what we hear from a lot of our beta users is that they have their own network of friends from their family, from school, but they also, half of the people, usually they don't know who they are. They are scattered around the world, and they just enjoy playing together because they met in the game. They asked for friendship, they accepted the friendship, and they remain friends. And then they can invite each other when they start a playing session. So you can constantly play with friends who are online. You can also join groups, and that's when the community element really kicks in. So this person, for example, Sunny Misty, she's a very famous content creator. She has a very popular YouTube channel. You can see that her group has more than 1 million members. And through the group, she communicates on different experiences that she's playing, different experiences that she's pushing. You can see all the different members. And so you know that already there is some type of filtering by association, by appreciation. So you know that you're part of the same group, you like the same type of content, you like the same type of games. There is some type of a wall. You can leave messages. There's the store, so you can see the store from this particular content creator, and then affiliate games, so the games that she's working with. So the concept of group is really, really important because that's where the community can hang out and know each other on Roblox. But beyond that, you also have more traditional social media platforms like Discord or Twitter, TikTok also to a certain extent. But very often, those games and these content creators will have social media. And that's where the community can also hang out outside of the Roblox platform. So you can see that there's a very positive loop into it's not just about bringing users into your game, it's also about creating this sense of community, which is very important, and that community lives both on Roblox and also outside of Roblox. Okay, so in terms of the core elements for when brands are or corporations are going into Roblox, it's very important to understand the ethos is very different. Roblox, it's a very fun, light, whimsical platform. Creativity is really at the core. Therefore, brands can really enjoy a new opportunity, the opportunity to do things differently from what they do usually on other traditional social media platforms. For example, Crocs, the shoe brand, was very successful on Roblox. And what they did is that they created a digital item collection where the shoes were worn on the head instead of the feet. It sounds something they would never do on any other channels, but users on Roblox absolutely loved it. It was fun, whimsical, out of the box. And through the launch of this very funny collection, they garnered a lot of attention, a lot of success. So you could see also on the when I was showing the platform, every game has also the favorite function, so you can thumbs up or thumbs down. So it shows the appreciation for a game, and it gives a score, a percentage. And that's also a very important element. How does the Roblox community at large ranks this experience? When discovering new games, these are usually the first things that users look at. It's the score. How many concurrent users? How many visits total? Let me show you. It's on every single game. So here, for example, Hello Kitty Cafe, I can favorite it. And here it will tell me that right now there are 4,000 people in the game right now at this very second. It's been favorited by more than 1.5 million people, and it had 387 million visits since the inception. And you see the last updates, which is also something that's very important that we will dig further into. And you can see here thumbs up 740,000, thumbs down 25K. So it's a very good ratio. So this, in terms of discovering games, these metrics are super important because users trust the extended community of Roblox, and so they pay attention to these metrics. So I think we will dig into. There are a lot of elements that we can double click on.
No, that was incredibly fascinating. I appreciate you sharing that. And again, to the audience members, feel free to ask questions as we go through this live event. The next question, Nick, I want to direct to yourself because this is an area you massively specialize in when it comes to Exclusible and Roblox. How important would you say it is for brands to collaborate with existing Roblox creators, influencers, and games? And what are the best practices for these collaborations?
It is a very good question, and Olivia gave you already a very good understanding of the importance of community and Roblox itself. Roblox was founded in 2006. It's been there for a while. The community has developed and changed a lot together with the platform itself, right? It has improved a lot. There's new things almost on a daily basis, right? And the community is a solid one that has gone through trends, that has gone through different periods of time in which the platform was pushing on, different things. So it's really important as a brand approaching this platform to know who you are, to know what you're doing within the platform, and especially to work with creators that already have had success within the platform itself, right? Think about it when you're a brand. I like to think it really is in terms of approaching a new market, right? And Roblox is it's almost like a new country, a new market with 70 million daily active users, all young users, mostly young users, right? It's a market that you have to learn about. It's a market that you cannot just jump in thinking you can just apply your framework, right? When you're as a brand enter a new market, you tend to go and look at the expert. You talk to the expert, you talk to people who actually understand the market and have had success in the market. And you have to do the exact same thing within Roblox, otherwise you will not succeed. So we're discussing creators and influencers. Let's start with creators. Who are the creators on Roblox? I like to think of two main categories which often overlap. Often it happens, that they do the exact same thing, and which is UGC creators and game creators. Game creators are those who build games, right, including ourselves. And these are the creators who have had success on Roblox, who launch games, who manages communities, who have to build games from zero and create a community around that game. And we have extremely successful game creators, some of them which are huge businesses making millions every year and managing communities of millions every year, right? So since 2006, we've seen massively popular games, and working with these game creators, it's very important to understand. It's very important to, in a way, to build your own game, right? So you want to look at which games are doing best, why are they doing so good, what are the game mechanics that are making them so successful within the actual platform. And I don't want to say mimic those, but at least learn from those, right? Exactly how you would do when entering a new market. Same thing goes for UGC creators. UGC creators are those who create the accessories, the digital items, the fashion items within the actual platform. And certain items will do well for certain reasons. There's so many parameters that you as a brand have to look into when releasing items on the platform. And I'll give some examples here. Let me share my screen. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see my screen now. So it's important to think. I'm going to show three creators that we as Exclusible partner with, which are extremely talented guys on the platform that had so much success. And first of all, I want to show the example that Olivier was showing before, the croc on your head, kind of to give you this idea of you as a brand have to think creatively, have to think in a way that it's really smart and aligned with the way the Roblox community thinks. So, and I also think that this is an example, is a great example. This is the croc on your head item that Olivier was talking about before. As you see, as a normal brand, you would think of just joining the platform and create normal shoes that are, shoes accessory essentially, as a with your Crocs. Instead, the brand decided to do something much more creative, and I would say much more aligned with what the fun, light-minded community of Roblox would expect. I'll show you some of these creators. This is Jonozi. His name is Logan. He's an extremely successful creator who has partnered with already a lot of brands and has made a lot of experiences successful. You see some of some of his items. Some of them extremely simple. Some of them a bit more complex. I think one of the things that we learned from a lot of creators so far is focus on simplicity, focus on items that really the community likes and is looking for, and they can place with other items on their avatar. So you see some of their examples. I'm going to open this cute strawberry cow hood. Has 302,000 favorites, right? This is an incredible number. These are the people who favorited it. It's not the people who bought it, or probably 2 or 3 times higher than that, right? So an extremely successful item, a very cute looking item, appealing, especially I would say to a female audience, but his item is kind of very genderless, right? Same here. This is Liz. Her name is her actual name on Roblox is Milkware. Another very successful creator here, more on the beauty side. So each creator has kind of its own, its own expertise, although they all kind of span across the different items on the platform. You see a lot of different makeup items, different head items, and masks like this that are extremely popular. Even here, if we just open up her her best-selling item, which is a simple blush item, right, has 33,000 likes, so extremely popular item as well, which currently is not for sale anymore, even. So it's essentially, it's very important to understand what works well and work with these creators to really understand how did this item become so popular, right? What did they do within the title of the item, within the description of the item, within the tags of the item, within the actual item itself that made the item so popular. Here you saw two examples of creators that are very aligned with the Roblox community. Some of them are even much more creative. This was an item that I was looking at before. It's called Cardboard Cutout. We're starting to see, as the platform develops, even more fun creative items, and this is literally an item of a cardboard cutout that just sits next to you all the time, and it's almost like your companion, right? So I thought this was a fun kind of creative approach to Roblox, and there's so many developers that we work with and creators we work with that are really trying to push the limits on Roblox and create always fun new items, because as Olivia showed before, the marketplace is really full of items. So I'll stop sharing here, and then the last but not least is it's influencers, right? Influencers tend to work in a much more similar way than the real than you tend to do in the real world, right? So it's kind of traditional influencer marketing. You want to make sure that you work with the right influencers that align with your brand values, with your community values, and exactly what you want to try to portray as a brand on Roblox to push your experience. So influencers would make videos of playing through your experience, or they really like to make videos on UGC, right? If you go on YouTube and check, most of the Roblox videos are gonna be about UGC, how to win UGC, how to get to this very rare UGC, right? So it's a very standard practice of you launching your game as a brand and then hiring an influencer to do a partnership with you and creating a sponsored video. So that's something very important to take into account. There's different influencers. Some of them are more just gaming related. Some of them are very Roblox related. But that's something very, very important to take into account as well when you market your game.
That was great, Nick. Thank you so much. Olivia, I want to jump back over to you for a moment and discuss the different ways that brands can balance monetization and community engagement on Roblox without compromising the user experience.
Yes, so that's a very good question. The question of monetization versus engagement. It's the $1,000,000 question. It's the most important thing. It's Roblox gives you the ability to sell items, so you can monetize. Okay, it's not because you do it that you have to do it, and if you do it, then you have to do it the right way, and you have to be reasonable in terms of your expectations. Of course, there are games on Roblox that generates more than $10 million of revenue per year, and it's incredible. It doesn't mean that it's because some games have done it and have been working on it for years that a brand can come and claim all of a sudden millions of users and maybe like hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. All of this, it's a matter of balance. So we advise usually to always favor engagement first and then monetization. Engagement is very important because if your game, as I was saying earlier, if your game doesn't have a good ranking, like the thumbs up, you don't have a lot of users, whereas it's been launched a few weeks ago, a few months ago, the daily user count is stalling or going down. All of this information is kind of available and people will know. And if it's not growing, it also means that the gameplay is a little bit boring. It's not really exciting. So people, try the experience, they look at it, they see what it's about, and then they never come back. So that's really the death of your experience. So you don't want that to happen. That's why it's very important to prioritize engagement. Engagement means that you will have made a great game, great gameplay, and great updates as well that make people want to come back. Within that, of course, the opportunity to monetize, it's too good to pass on. You can monetize by selling digital items or Game Pass that will maybe boost the experience of the users. So in a nutshell, it's really a fine balance. But what we're trying to educate all our clients and the partners that we work with, it's for them to approach Roblox from really its own social media channel and its own unique experience that if you compare to other marketing channels, it's a combination of many different channels. It can be both equivalent to a billboard. So it's really top of the funnel marketing activation where you engage with an audience, you reach an audience that's completely new to you. Okay, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. So you start building awareness with this new audience. And just the metrics of user base, time spent, engagement, coming back to the game, all of these metrics are most likely very strong and satisfactory to check the box on as a marketing activation. We did great on Roblox. But you can push that further and you can go further down into your marketing funnel and you can go into conversion. So not only you can sell all these digital items that we talked about, and then it creates a very positive like flywheel effect where the money that you generate on Roblox, you can either take it out of the platform, so you can convert the Robux into US dollars, for example. But you can also decide to reinvest that money towards advertising. And Roblox is putting a very strong emphasis on advertising. They're one of their most important topic of the year for 2024, pushing immersive ads that will generate revenue, that will drive traffic. And so you could invest to push your game. We know for a fact, data supports that when a game is, you put advertising behind an experience, it will drive traffic. We did an experience, for example, for a very famous candy brand a few months ago, and 85% of the traffic came from the advertising dollars that we had put to promote the experience. And we're not talking about big amounts, but just a little bit of advertising will be enough to drive traffic. And then the other way you can monetize is also by creating a loyalty and rewards loop outside of the platform in preparation for what's coming in a few months, which is in-platform e-commerce. So in a few months, hopefully by the end of this year, Roblox will launch e-commerce functionalities directly from within the platform. So all of a sudden, this platform becomes all-in-one. It becomes your advertising billboard to reach a new audience and millions of views every day. It becomes an extension of your e-commerce. It becomes a new playground where you can go into digital fashion, try new ideas. You can engage the community to make them vote on some designs, on some ideas, on some creative direction. And it creates this ecosystem that lives literally on its own, that becomes almost self-funded at some point. And the only thing you need to do as a brand is to keep updating the game, keep making it fresh and update so that you show that you care about the community. If you do all these things, the engagement will follow, the gameplay is good, then people will buy UGCs, will acquire free UGCs as well. So it's a very positive ecosystem overall.
Let's get Nick back involved in the conversation. How important is it, Nick, for brands to stay up to date with the latest trends and features? And in addition to that, how are they able to take advantage of these for community building exercises?
It's a good question. As I was saying even earlier, the community, since 2006 has gone through different periods and different trends and different approaches to the platform itself, right? Olivier was giving a good example, the e-commerce integration that Roblox has kind of announced back in 2023 that we're expecting the company to roll out in 2024. We see a lot of brands launching their experience now on Roblox. I assume it is because they want to build a community and make sure that community it's kind of ready for the e-commerce integration, because it's going to be a great monetization opportunity, that is for sure. Overall, I think trends are something to take into account no matter what you're doing on Roblox. If you're building your own game, if you're doing a game integration, even if you're releasing your items, you constantly have to be aware of exactly what's going on within this environment. I think a good example is the Hunt. The Hunt is a global event that Roblox has done in a very unexpected way this year, since it hasn't been doing a full platform, I guess, a complete platform event in a while, and I think in about 3 years, and this is their first one following kind of the egg hunts that they've done a couple of years ago. So I'll show you what the Hunt is, and I'll give an example to why this is actually important for brands, and consider events like this is important for brands. Can you see my screen? Yes, I think you can. Awesome. So you'll see that. So this is the Hunt Hub. It's a massive event. It's an event with hundreds of games participating within it, right? You see all these are all the portals for all the different games that are participating in it. You see people kind of jumping into different portals. You see the ones with the tick are the ones that I have completed, for example, right? Within the games, you receive once you complete certain quests within the game, you receive a badge, right? And a badge is it's you see it here down below. I have 7 badges, meaning that I've completed 7 quests within 7 games, right? It's a completely global community-wide event. Only this experience currently has 220 million visits in about 2 weeks, and all the events that are part of the experience have even way more. You see people around me here with 87 badges, 50 badges. It's increasing so much the playtime. So you as a brand, why do you have to consider something like this? First of all, is it would not be great to launch your game during this event, right? Why? Because so much of the attention is on this event right now. And you want to make sure that you get as much attention as possible whenever you're launching a game, right? So you should be aware of an event like this going on within the Roblox community. Second of all, because all the attention is on this game and everybody has not stopped talking about this game in the last 1 month, some brands very smartly have kind of released things that are somewhat related to the hunt, right? Either homages to the hunt or things that kind of first of all, some of them were able to actually be part of the hunt itself, like the very famous Sonic game, so a licensed game by Sega. And some other brands were able to launch kind of UGCs and experiences somewhat related to the hunt, kind of hinting that they would be part of the hunt or they have something to do with the hunt, driving massive traffic towards them because YouTubers would pick up these hints, would pick up these experiences and drive traffic to their experience, right? So essentially, being aware of all these trends, it's something extremely important as a brand. I give again the example of the hunt when you're building a game. With UGC, is pretty much the same thing, right? You want to know what symbols are very well received within the Roblox community, right? I think we were talking the other day with Olivier and Hugo about the capybara, which is this little animal. It's an animal that is it's an animal in South America. It's kind of a big rodent. You wouldn't think much of it in real life. In Roblox, it's one of the most popular animals. Everybody loves the capybara. There are so many items related to this small animal, very randomly, right? It's something just as a trend that released the launch within the platform. But these trends, this peculiarity about the community are so important for a brand to understand. What type of items that the community, what is the community looking at right now? Is Roblox releasing something new that you could take advantage of and drive traffic to that specific item because the thing is new, right? So you need to know exactly what people are looking at in this current moment on the platform, because it's going to help you so much when you're trying to drive that traffic and that attention towards either your items or your experience.
Nice, cool. Let's dive into possibly what's going to be a fairly in-depth conversation or a debate between the two of you, because it's a very detailed question. It's about strategies to prevent potential crisis or any bad feedback from within the Roblox community. So either of you who wants to take this first, the question is essentially, what are the strategies that brands should be implementing to manage the potential crisis or the negative feedback within their Roblox communities?
Sure. Yeah, I can start with that, Nick, if it's okay with you. So first of all, the idea of a PR crisis or negative comment on Roblox, it's very different from what could happen to brands on other social media platforms or in real life, simply because usually it doesn't start with a commercial transaction. Okay, the game is free. Users can decide on their own to join and participate in the game, and if they don't like it, then they just leave and they go to one of millions of other games. So if there is a crisis, usually it's quite minor. It's very short-lived, and I would say I think the problem is mainly indifference. People just don't care, and then they move on to something else because they don't have time to waste with a game that's not exciting or not interesting or a game that's boring. Of course, brands have to be respectful of the values of the platform, the ethos of the platform. There is a certain tone of voice. So if your brand speaks a certain way on social media, you have to kind of adapt a little bit to Roblox just to let the playful side or playful dimension of your brand really express itself. But that's part of a launch strategy and creativity. Um, so that's why usually there's no real negativity, real PR problems, simply because the audience will just go somewhere else and they will just leave. So then the problem becomes that what we call ghost town, meaning that the experience is empty and then it's not really a success.
I think to add to that, Olivier, and I don't know if you agree with me, but if rather than how to manage a crisis, is how to prevent a crisis on Roblox, right? Not that a crisis really exists. As you said, crises are mostly users kind of leaving, but as a brand, that could be a crisis per se, right? Not having attention onto your experience, and how do you prevent a crisis? Well, first of all, it's your game, right? You have to make sure that your game it's engaging enough for people to constantly come back and people constantly engage with it. I always give an example of there's games that have a beginning and an end, so A to Z, right? Those games have always a very hard time on Roblox because users spend a lot of times on these games. We know this. We have talked about this. Users spend a very high amount of time on these games, and users will finish the game. And you don't want to have a game that finishes, right? Because if you finish a game, the user either will leave the game or will come back to you and say, "Hey, make the game longer," or try to give an update to the game, right? So some of the games that have thrived the most, think of the very top one, Bloxburg, I'm thinking of even Doors, which is a game that I like a lot. They're games that have they pretty much don't have an ending, or they have an infinite amount of combinations to play the game itself. Doors, as I was mentioning, it's a game where you have to go through doors, and each room has a certain kind of quest that you have to complete, and there's puzzles and there's monsters and stuff like this. It's kind of a horror game. It's extremely popular. Why? Because every time that you play it, the scenario unfolds differently. You enter a door and you enter a new scenario, which is not going to be the exact one before. It's basically a complete randomized game. And that's amazing for Roblox because users come back to it and they will always play out a different scenario, which still will add to their skill because then they'll know how to essentially manage each of the quests and challenges they find within the game. And a genius gameplay because then you'll have much less users coming back to you and say, "Hey, how do I move forward in the game? How can I do more? How can I engage more with your brand?" The second thing is if your game does have a limit, right? If your game has just a certain amount of mini games and they're not as replayable as you expect, is updates. You want to make sure that you constantly have updates on your game, add more content, add more UGC, add more updates, and make sure that you're as engaged with your community as the community wants to be with you, right? Answer to your community, answer to your feedback, add updates to your games, and really base the future on your game, what the community is asking for. Does that make sense to you, Olivier? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I wanted to add maybe one example of at least what could be deemed some type of a PR crisis that we are aware of. It's the case when a brand or an IP decides to join the platform and to launch their own game. What we call an IP, it could be like a movie or a cartoon character, So it happened a few times in the past where all of a sudden there's an official game or experience with that brand or that IP. And the natural thing to do, and we all come from corporate, so we completely understand that. The natural thing to do is to shut down the experiences that are already on the platform using that IP without approval. So it's some type of like an IP infringement. So it happened a few times in the past, and the problem was that those games that were infringing on the IP were actually very successful, and they had built a community of fans over time. So when the official IP came on the platform and shut down the legacy game, it created a lot of drama. The community was absolutely furious to see their beloved game shut down all of a sudden, and it created a double effect, a negative effect, which was one, it really pissed off those users, those gamers that love that game. And second of all, it made sure that they would never play the official game. They absolutely banned the official game and refused to go in it. Whereas it's a little bit counterintuitive. You think if you love the IP, then you will love the official game. But it did the totally backfired. And so that's something that we keep in mind because we're working a lot with IPs. And if we were to be facing that type of choice, that type of situation, in light of what we have seen happen in the past to others, I think instead of shutting down, we would try to work with that community hand in hand and to see, find a solution moving forward where we can only have one game, which is the official one, instead of keeping the one that's unofficial and infringing on the IP, but we would do it in full collaboration with them.
I think that's a good point, and also maybe a good closing to this question. It's, as a brand, you want to make sure that you're doing things in a non-intrusive way, right? As a brand or as an IP that is external to Roblox, you already are not, you were not born into Roblox. You're not an IP that is born into Roblox. You want to make sure that you enter the community in a way that is natural and is respectful of everything that the community has become so far on Roblox, right? So, and this applies to your example here, but any other way that you're joining the platform itself, in the items you're creating, in the experience you're creating, you want to be respectful of the community, but also respectful for yourself, because ultimately, if you understand the community, your game will do better and your items will do better.
Awesome. I think it's Q&A time from the audience. I'm just taking a look at the statistics. Twitter is absolutely on fire with 147 people in the room. Well done to Twitter. Very, very, very impressive. LinkedIn, it's my playground. It's the place that I love and cherish the most. But, don't know what's going on today. There's only 47 people in the room. But hey, rather have 47 than 0. So that's amazing. I'm going to go through some questions. First question that I want to focus on is from the LinkedIn platform. Julian has been doing an amazing job in the background, who's been organizing all our pictures coming in and out. So if we can just give a round of applause in the chat to Julian, our technical guy. Well done, Julian, for doing all of this. He just pinned the question on the screen, which is when launching fashion items. I'll take this to Olivia first, and then Nick, do jump in on this. How often should you refresh your collection? And I'm going to figure out while you answer that question who wrote that, because StreamYard doesn't tell us the name.
Sure. Yeah, we'll answer very quickly. The more the merrier. Roblox is a little bit counterintuitive compared to all of us coming from brands, quality over quantity. Roblox is a little bit the opposite. It's literally quantity over quality, where you can launch, if you want to launch a UGC collection, if you launch 10, it's better than if you launch 1, because out of the 10, it's almost impossible it's very hard. It's very hard to predict which ones are going to be very successful. And so it's really a process of iteration over time. Then you will understand and gather data, and then data will inform a lot more and predict a lot better which are the UGC items that will be successful when you launch.
Just to jump in on that, I totally agree with that. It's not like in the real world where users are expected to launch every single quarter or every single season a certain collection, right? The more the merrier, as Olivia said. I give an example from Liz, her name on Roblox is Milkware, which I was showing her collection before, so shout out to her. But she told us that when she started her UGC journey, which has been extremely successful, she launched 1 item per day. At least she tried to do so for very months, which is it's a very, very high amount. It's a very high amount of work, right? Launching 1 item per day and publishing it, and there's also publishing costs to launching items, right? But that is probably what led to her success, is really testing things out, understanding which items were doing best, and reiterating on those specific items that were doing best, right? It is very common on Roblox to launch an item, see how it does, and then create color variation or item variation of that specific item, because it will do well, because your users are already accustomed to the other items. Once you do that, another very common thing to do is link the variations of that item to your original item. So you say you launch a black hat, that black hat does very well. In the description of the item, you can link all the other color variations, right? So that's the trend that I'm seeing the most among successful creators. But really, the playbook it's a relatively new playbook. Some creators have done it very well, just releasing very limited collections as well, or very limited amount of items, right? Kind of in the real world where brands tend to launch like capsule collections are very limited. So we're seeing new things as the platform, releases even new ways of releasing items. We also expect Roblox to open its UGC uploading feature to everybody, which right now it's limited to a certain amount of users that have access. So that will have probably quite a good inflow of new items. There's debates about the quality of them and what that's going to actually, the influence that all of this is going to have on the platform. And we're going to be seeing new ways of releasing items. Overall, as Olivia said, it's really quantity over quality, testing things around and working with the Roblox algorithm to understand what works best.
Awesome, very nice. Julian, next question. Awesome. You call it social media. Can you expand? It feels like more of a social platform and less a social media as such. And that was by Dan. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Olivia,
Very good question. Yeah, I'll take this one. So I call it a social media because it's UGC. So all the content on the platform, it's a flywheel effect. You have creators that put content. That content brings users. Users spend money. The money, goes back to the creator. It attracts even more creator because they see that they can make money, and then these new creators create more games that attract more users, etc. It's a very strong flywheel effect, and I call it social media also because there is. I was saying earlier, advertising. Immersive advertising is a very, very strong focus for Roblox for the coming years. They want to become like Facebook, where Facebook is a media platform to begin with, dressed as a social platform, but it's media. And so already you have ads within Roblox. So you can go into a game and you have either billboards, and the billboards are displaying videos. And as you get closer to the video, you can hear the sound. If you click on it, it opens up full screen. And that video can be, from anything. So any brand, any corporation can decide to advertise within the entire ads network of Roblox. They can select some games, some genre, some audience, demographics, etc. That billboard is option number one. Option number two is what we call portals. So not only you can see an ad, which is a video, but you can also go through it and it becomes a portal that will then take you to that game. So you can imagine Gucci, for example, could totally advertise in maybe some of the most popular games. They can advertise their new experience if they launch it, when they launch it, and then it will let people know, first of all, in that other game that has millions of users. It will let them know about Gucci, and then they can teleport directly from that ad into the Gucci experience. You can assume that it will attract a lot of advertisers, and it will generate a lot of money for creators.
If I can just add one thing to that, in terms of the actual, I think because Dan's question is very interesting. The difference between like a media and an actual networking platform. I think Roblox is both, right? It started as a media or as a place where people can create content and make content available to users, right? So a place where you actually are creating content and broadcasting that content to a wide amount of users. It's going more and more into becoming a networking platform, adding features, as Olivier was saying, like messages, profiles, and even voice chat within games itself. I was showing to Olivier earlier in the call the new feature that Roblox has added, which is called Roblox Connect, in which you're testing out things around. If you go on Roblox and look for Roblox Connect, it's an experience where you can call others. So they're adding the call function, kind of adding in more into the networking side of things, or the social platform side of things, right? So it's both. It's a social media, it's a social platform. It's trying to take market share, I would say, even from traditional social media as we know them today, so TikTok, Instagram, etc.
Awesome. I think we've got time for one more question. How is going to be the integration? So let me just elaborate on that question. Please, we'll go for the other question. Please, can you explain what's going to happen with e-commerce on the Roblox platform?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to take that first? Okay, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just gonna just we don't really necessarily know that much yet. From an integration standpoint, Robo hasn't given very clear informations. so far about like how the actual rollout will happen. It's actually relatively new news, at least the way we expect it as Exclusible. Is either via hyperlinking. So being right now, currently, if you have a link within Roblox, you can only relate that link to your existing social media profiles. It can be a Twitter page, can be other social media types of pages, or to pages within Roblox, right? So those are the only links that are allowed within the experience. We expect that to be rolled out to your e-commerce platform or your website as well. So being able to hyperlink those type of websites within the experience itself. In that way, you're going to be able to actually attribute traffic to your Roblox experience, which is extremely important when it comes to marketing. The other thing that we heard of, but again, we're not 100% sure, is potentially iframe embedding, right? So imagine you're in experience, and just as you embed advertisements right now as a video or a visual that people can click on and view the visual, it would be awesome if Roblox was able to integrate even iframes of your website or your e-commerce, so that people don't have to even leave the experience, right? And directly purchase items within the experience. Do you want to add anything to that, Olivier?
No. That was very complete. Very good.
Awesome.
Cool. So before we wrap up, right, if anyone else does have any questions, feel free to DM either Olivia or Nick via LinkedIn or on Twitter. If you guys are tuning in from Twitter, feel free to just DM the Exclusible page or just drop a comment underneath the live event, and we'll come back to you after the session. If anyone is interested in being able to discover how Exclusible can support your brand with an integration or a partnership within Roblox, you can literally go to www.exclusible.com and complete the application form to get in touch with us. Or again, you can send a message to either Olivia or Nick. Before we do wrap up, question for Nick. What do you think would be one of the most interesting new games that any brand could implement on Roblox that it hasn't already done? What do you think will like really break waves and make some noise?
It's a very good question. I think I'm very interested in the integration of AI in games. We've seen some examples, and going into the direction that I was saying before in terms of making a game randomized, right, or making a game completely replayable. I think AI will play a huge role into this, and we're seeing already a lot of AI applications within game. Recently, we've seen AI rolling out in UGC creation. I expect Roblox to be more and more helpful with their AI tools to games creators as well. So potentially creating games that each time you join the game will have a different look, will have a different gameplay based on AI features, right? I mean, that to me is extremely exciting, and somebody who's really following the AI space, and something that is going to make the platform even more diverse than it already is, right? We have millions of experiences. If each experience could be potentially different every time, even more engaging than what it already is, I think that would be really cool. I don't know, how about you, Olivier? Do you have an answer to this as well?
It is really the $1 million question. I think that no one, at least in our line of business, making brands for games, for who it's not the core business. It's another channel. No one is going to create a AAA game, okay? But what's beautiful about Roblox is that the users who are younger become addicted or they fall in love with sometimes very simple game mechanics. So it's a combination of an addictive game mechanic also with the storytelling. Okay, especially if you play with their, what's important in their world. If you make it super cute, whimsical, you check you hit on all those important elements. Then you can create a very addictive viral game and successful over a long period of time. But I guess that's what everybody in the space is asking themselves in the morning: is how do we create these, top 5 game on the platform?
Okay, on that note, I do have one more question then,
Yeah.
And then we will wrap up. In 2021 and 2022, specifically, a lot of brands entered the Roblox space just because of the hype, right? I'm not going to name any specifically, but they knew that this was a good brand to try, and then they launched their game. And then the statistics just dipped after a few months, right? There's one main reason behind this, as you always tell your branded clients, marketing, 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 right? Those brands who they did launch a game initially and then their game activity dip, what could they do right now to revitalize their gaming experience in Roblox? Because it's already there. There's just not a lot of traffic coming through. What can they do?
Yeah, so you have brands like Gucci, Tommy Hilfiger are Vans, prime examples of those brands that launched a few years ago. And they've done it. Their playbook is really good. Like, I advise everyone in the audience to get their hands on some of our reports. Especially, we did a case study on Gucci. We have a lot of info on other experiences where you build over time. Just use the same the same logic, the same strategy as when you are launching a pop-up store, a new distribution partner, a new store. When you are working on brand side, it's the same logic. It really becomes a piece of real estate. It's a digital real estate that you have and you have invested to build. And the same way that you will maybe launch a pop-up first to test a neighborhood or test a city. And if it's successful, then you will invest in building a store or like a shop-in-shop in a department store. It's exactly the same logic. So Tommy Hilfiger did it so nicely, where they did a small activation first. They worked with a set of influencers, Roblox influencers. Then a few months later, they launched a UGC collection. Then they launched their first game. And then they started building. And now their game is incredible. And they keep updating it. They keep adding to it. It's highly addictive because it's fun. It's around sports. And, it's in New York City. The landscape is amazing. Gucci did things a little bit similarly, where they launched a first, like a replica or a digital version of their immersive garden exhibits that they were doing in Florence. Then the second activation was partnering with a singer, and they did like an activation in Roblox with a famous person, with that famous singer, creating some collection. So, and then they created their world, and then they created version 2 of their world, linked to the new collection, the new designer, the new collection. So everything makes sense. And they started, I don't want to say small, because it still takes a lot of courage and efforts, heavy lifting to do all of that. But they did things the right way by testing the waters, really engaging with the community, the creators, the influencers, understanding the platform. And they just keep building on it. And now it's fully part of those brands' architecture. These worlds are permanent.
And if I can just add one thing to wrap up on that, it's very common to see games, even games that had reached incredible numbers, slowly dip down. Why? Because the platform evolves, the users evolve. Maybe they're not as involved in the game anymore. And it's very common to launch a second version of the game or updated version of the game. If there's a platform where brands can revamp a game or revamp an activation, it's Roblox. And no other gaming platform allows it to do as well as Roblox. How do you do that? You listen to the community. What was the community asking you when the game was dipping down? What was going wrong? Right? You listen exactly to what the Roblox community had to say to you in terms of updates, in terms of UGC, in terms of what they want to see on the game, and relaunch a new game or re-update your game by following exactly what the community wants. If you follow the community, your game will not dip down and will restart from zero. So I'm very very happy about the way Roblox actually works currently in terms of community engagement, because it's really the best platform to launch a game currently as a brand, because of this strong community that Roblox has developed in time, which supports ultimately creators, right? They know what creators go through, they know how difficult it is to build a game, and they can access this game most of the times for free, and they appreciate that, and they'll help you with that.
Wonderful. This was a very fascinating session today, gentlemen. Thank you very much. And to the audience members, we'll be back again, right? Just go to the Exclusible company page, give it a follow, turn on your notifications so you know when the next live event is going to be. Give these two wonderful gentlemen a follow as well so you can stay up to date with all of their incredible Roblox related reports and content. And feel free to check out www.exclusible.com for more information in terms of how Exclusible can take your brand to the next stage through Roblox. That's it. My name is Zach Derris. It's been a pleasure, you guys. Thank you so much for joining, and see
Thank
you
you,
next time.
Zach.
Thank you, Zach. Great.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you,
Ciao.
Olivier.